Hello, and just like to begin by saying a big thank you to all my guests so far for sharing their memories of performing in the Town Hall, the Arts Centre, and the Parochial Hall stages. Great memories, and thank you very much to yourselves for all the positive comments that we've been getting back. It's great to receive them. Keep sharing your stories. My guest today is an extremely versatile singer, actress, and comedian. She's equally at home playing musical theatre, playing comedy leads with the Panto Players, or bringing the house down at the Blues in the Bay Festival in Warrenpoint. And she's always belting out those classic rock anthems in Newry Panto. But really, underneath it all, her secret dream is to be the Prima Ballerina in Swan Lake. Eilish McCaffrey.
I was in a talent competition. Actually, I was beaten by John Lynch and yeah, in Clog. And there was people in the audience, and we're going to start up a band, and they asked me would I like to sing, and I said yeah. So I went along and sang with Gareth Hughes and Mark, and
What was the band called?
I always thought it was called Southbound Train, but he insisted it was Southbound.
Did you ever take part in the Fish, in the Newry Fish?
Yes. My mummy's cousin, Lily Fox, had a dancing school, an Irish dancing school, and I wanted to be a ballerina. But the ballet classes were about 10 shillings, and the Irish dancing was about 1 shilling. So I ended up an Irish dancer. Yeah, so the first onto the stage was the Irich dancing, and it was great fun.
Why do you want to be a ballerina? Where did that come from?
I don't know. Just from I was a child, like I just loved ballet. I remember when the first time we got a television, and there was ballet. There was Swan Lake, or some of them was on TV, on this black and white TV, and it was just blown away. But yeah, I didn't follow my dream.
How did you get involved in the Panto, Eilish?
Well, but I think it was the 96, 97. My children brought them into Oliver. They needed kids in the cast, and there was a girl who kind of knew me and knew I had sung in a band in the 70s. She says, why don't you join the musical society? And because you can sing, because you're coming anyway with the kids. So that I did, and then I loved it. It was great people. And I have to say, the person who welcomed me literally with open arms was Wesley Livingston. And I didn't know the man. He just comes straight over to me. Who are you? What's your name? You're very welcome. And then it turned out he knew my uncles very well. But and everybody was just great fun. And then
what show was that you started with, the musical society?
Oliver. And then Calamity Jane was the next one. Sean Hollywood directed it. And I think there was an after show party anyway. And Charlie, I got to know Charlie then at that stage. And I was up singing. So then he asked me about Panto. So the first Panto was Wizard of Oz. And I had a great song in it too. So nervous, Declan. I think it was I've never been so nervous in my life as I was at that show. And there's 2 incidents that I remember the most. I would have talked about everything that I'd done wrong. And it should have been there, and I should have stood there, and I should have done this, and da. And Rosalind Sheridan said to me, no postmortems. And the other thing I used to do was my script was like tied to me. And I'm standing in the wings before I go on, just checking lines. And one time you came off this thing and you grabbed the script and you fired it up into the air. And I go, what? Oh, Jesus, the
script. I wouldn't have done something like that.
I know, but I'm just with such great, and just fired it and walked on off. And it was so funny. It was so funny afterwards. It wasn't too funny when you done it.
Oh yes, it was.
And that was the start. That was the start of so many things like that happening on stage, off stage. Oh, it was just fabulous. So that's Wizard of Oz was my first one, and then off that I did Superstar with yourself as Mary Magdalene with the Bosco.
There's a story about the Wizard of Oz. A friend of mine, John Toll, on Radio Oz.
Yeah.
His dad, Lord rest him, went along with John one evening to see the Wizard of Oz, and where you were the Wicked Witch of the West, and Charlie and the guys had rigged up a dummy to fly in from the follow spots. So as the Wicked Witch of the West was due to appear, this witch flew down on the wire from the follow spots at the back of the town hall all the way into the side of the stage. And then with a flash, sometimes it happened, sometimes it didn't, but you popped onto the stage, ta-tum! And John said to me afterwards, he said, my dad gave me an awful dig in the ribs, and he said, Jesus, that's some brave girl to come all the way down from there. he thought it was you.
I know, but so many people did. It was so good. It was so good. So many. How did you do that?
The thing about the Panto is, and any show, it's all about timing, isn't it? And the interaction between the characters. But I think, that uncertainty as to what might happen next with the pantomime is always a good fun sometimes.
Absolutely.
But you got to be on your toes, haven't you? Because it's a very quick moving show.
Yeah, especially when there's somebody like you in the cast.
I think you were caught in the kitchen one time having sandwiches when you should have been on the stage.
That was in Jack and Beanstalk. I'm then having the crack, and the next thing somebody running, but you very well covered it over and had it, and it was, everybody thought it was hilarious then, because it's
I think I made up a poem. In fact, you came on and I hadn't finished my poem. I told you to go back off again. Just wait. I haven't.
That's right. Well, that's the fabulous thing about Panto, isn't it? That you can sort of get away with stuff.
You get away with a certain amount, but it's still it's got to be sharp. It's got to be sharp.
Yes.
The strength that you would always bring and make me very nervous was the power of your voice and the power of your singing voice. And I was always in the shadows of that, Eilish. But that's a tremendous gift to have, to be able to carry those big ballads and make them bounce off the walls of the town hall.
The opportunity was in the Panto to do that, not so much with a band. You've got your set songs and they kind of have to be popular and stuff, but it did. And Charlie always he always talked to me, what do you want to do? Tell me what you want to do. And then if he liked it, he'd let you do it, or I'd say, well, try this. And it was him that said that you don't have to say you love me. Yeah. I'd never sang that in my life. And he says, try it. And I give it a go anyway. And I just loved it. I loved it. It was my favorite part of every show, that I would get up this part and you'd hear the ba 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 ba. Charlie was the massive instigator in my, going through all these, getting all the pantos and then into the plays, and then with the Bosco, I have to say, and everybody, I think, since you've interviewed thus far, Charlie has played a part in their life.
You would have taken part in the Blues in the Bay Festival down in Warren Point, and that was a brilliant event and a brilliant weekend.
Yeah, our gig actually became one of the biggest, and we're a local band. There's all these other people coming in from all over the world, and yet everybody sort of crowded to the back of Fagan's yard to get in, and it was great and great fun, and same with the blues band as well. Their gigs were always very, very big, and we're locals,
You had a great working relationship with Roz Sheridan as well on the school pantos, and
they were fabulous. That we had I think we did that for about 9 years, and I was thinking about it recently. I was talking to Roz about it. I think it was 9 years. That just, but you know how talented she is. So she writes the script, she does the costume, she does the sets. She hands you a script maybe 2 weeks before you go, and you'll be fine. She does everything. But it was just going into schools 2 a day and setting up, and the kids coming out of their classes. It was lovely. It was they were just in awe of this, what was going on in school. Because a lot of them maybe had never been to shows or pantos, or, we were taking it to them. But that was brilliant. We had such a great time with that too.
You said your mum took you to the Irish dancing. Was there music in the family when you were growing up?
I know my mummy was in the panto. Right. When it was PJ McKay, she was in the panto. She could sing, not really. No, my friends and neighbours down the road was the Kane sisters, Rosemary being the eldest. So they were the singers.
Yeah.
And Clog.
Yeah.
But Ma and Danny could sing if he'd a few in him. He would give an out tune. But other than that, I loved traditional Irish music growing up, and I loved dancing.
Your children were involved in the shows too.
Yeah. Yeah, they every single one of them done shows with me, and then my grandsons in the panto more recently in the past few years, my 2 grandsons, which was lovely to be on stage with your grandchildren, And then we supposed to do Oliver. It was supposed to be done last year, but of course with the pandemic, that's not happening. Don't know when it's happening. It might be soon, sooner rather than later. And my grandson was doing Oliver.
If the casting comes through, and who knows where we're going to be, in the next number of months, will you be waiting on the
Yeah.
call?
I hope so. I'm getting old now, just clutching at straws. Of course, I'd love to do it. And who wouldn't love to do the panto?
When we come through this lockdown
Yeah.
period and people get out, the people will be looking for shows and pantos, music,
and
just
music,
for relief.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I do believe that there'll be a big, massive search for all of that, and we will be able to do it. I think maybe numbers might have to be smaller, but I don't know. Who knows? Maybe not. But my daughter's in Sydney, and she sent me a picture 2 nights ago, sitting in the balcony in a theatre. There was an orchestral coming on. This was coming on, playing Fleetwood Mac music. It was an orchestra.
Yeah.
And it looked as if there were social distancing. And I said, is there social distancing? And she said, no, we're just early into the theatre, Mommy. And there's no masks, nothing. So that's
what's
happening in Sydney. Yeah.
In terms of sort of musical shows, then, would you have a favourite musical that you enjoyed?
Superstar. I'm very much for the old Superstar from the 70s, more so than the more recent ones.
And moving in from, I suppose, the pantomimes into the plays, and that's a gear change as well.
Big time, because I'd never done that, Declan, and then suddenly to be thrust forward, right, go for it. And they're so funny, and they were old, but yet they were so funny. One year Charlie gave me the main woman in it, and she was on the stage all the time, and I just thought, please God, if I get to the end of this, I am never doing this ever again. Just give me a wee bit of learning, Yeah. But Charlie, I have to say, what can you say about Charlie? Like, he's brought so many of us so far, and he's so generous, and he's so good. He's a great man.
So, Eilish, when you get the call this autumn, and Charlie says there's going to be a wee part, what's the big number that you have in your back pocket that you haven't performed before that you really, really want to do?
Oh, Defying Gravity. You know what I mean? It's just an amazing song. I thought I'd somehow wangle it into The Wizard of Oz. I think it was going to be The Wizard, the last one. And I'd love to. But now, whether I'd make a hymns of it or not, I don't know. Obviously, I'd have to run that by Charlie, and he'd have to hear it. And if it was no good, nope, you're not doing it. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game.